All right, let's move forward now into a couple of crew mechanics clips. So we're going to run this without the notes on this, and we're going to run it through the first time. Keep in mind, fourth down looks like about 6 yards. All right, so what we have a fake punt. We have an incomplete pass that comes out of that. Now, if we run this back, note what we get by the wide receiver at the top of the screen. I'm going to go slow. That is clearly blocking mode. All right. Now, the thing that we have to be prepared to do uh, across the field is that in our minds, when we see fourth down and we see a team in scrimmage kick formation, we immediately begin thinking about scrimmage kick rules. Well, when they don't run out, when they run out of scrimmage kick formation, but they don't kick, we have to transition immediately to plays from scrimmage. So, from the perspective of both of the deeps, both the back judge and the deep wing at the top of the screen, we have to recognize that this is not going to be a kicking play, and we have to officiate this play as if it's what it is, which is a play from scrimmage. Now, from a umpire's responsibility, from a perspective of line of scrimmage, when the kicking team or when the team A does not kick out of this formation, they must adhere to the rules such as ineligibles downfield and so on. Now, they can run a fake out of this formation. I'm sure that we're all well aware of that. But we have to be thinking that all of those regular plays from scrimmage, all of those rules apply. Now, in this particular case, we'll go slow here, and you can see the timing of this ball arriving. This is pretty close. Now, we get the benefit of this thing going incomplete, but as you can see, that contact affects this defensive player's ability to potentially come up, not only to play the receiver, but to potentially intercept the ball. So that block becomes pretty important to us. Now, in this particular case, it benefits Team B to have an incomplete pass because they're going to go back to the previous spot. But now put this within the context of this being a completed pass now for a first down. Now, all of a sudden, this OPI situation becomes very, very important to us. So we have to be alert for this. And if necessary, we need to bring people in to discuss it. Let's say this is caught for a first down. We need to have some conversation. Okay, our deep wing maybe did not pick up what really took place. We need the back judge to come in and start asking questions. We need perhaps the umpire to come in, ask some questions, short wing. We need to put together our collective wisdom and not just simply say, well, it wasn't my call. I guess we'll look at it on video. We need to get together and discuss these things so justice is done. All right, the second clip. Now, in keeping with the fact that we're talking about kicks tonight, I'm going to let this run through, and then we'll come back and we'll discuss it. Now, that's clip 91, so this is not at the end of the game. It's not something that potentially we're thinking about the likelihood of a short kick. Those of you that have been with the program for a number of years are familiar with the phrase that every short kick or every free kick is a short kick until it is not. So if we are thinking on clip 91 that, well, Team A is just simply going to kick the ball deep, and we're not thinking about the potential of a short kick and the rules that apply, then we've messed up. And as you can see, even though this is on the opposite side of the field, we have blocks that occur well before Team B is eligible to touch. Now, the kick ends up going out of bounds. So once again, no harm is done. But now put this in the context of Team A recovering legally and retaining possession of the ball. Those blocks become very important. Now, who should get involved in blocks? Now, obviously, you've got two very competent officials over here. That appears to be our back judge, and that probably this is, well, it doesn't matter whether it's field judge or side judge, but we ought to be thinking, we know that this official is primarily responsible for the restraining line. We're looking for support from, in this case, the back judge for potential early blocks. But that does not prohibit the people on the other side of the field at the end of the play to come in and go, hey, wait a minute. Um, there, have we considered early blocking? We need to get involved. Maybe even this umpire coming from the other side of the field, a short wing coming up there. We we need to make sure that we don't allow something to happen unnecessarily that's going to be trouble for us later on. Okay. All right. Third clip tonight. Pretty standard kick coming up the sideline. And all of a sudden that ball comes out and it's right on Team A's sideline. Okay. Now you can see, I believe this is our umpire coming into the screen on the right. Okay, our short wing is saying that he's down. All right. Now, if short wing can see the runner down, a knee down, a body part down, and is in firm control of the football, then absolutely he needs to come up and sell that call that is not a fumble, that he's down by rule. All right. Um, if the runner fell away from him towards the bottom of the screen, or if there were players in the vicinity, when you've got a clear recovery, then we need to stop the clock and then we need to circle the wagons in terms of who could see what from their various position. It may be that our umpire can help us. Hey, yeah, that ball came out before that knee was down. We've got a recovery for Team A. Or maybe the deep wing comes up and provides support to us. Maybe even someone from across the field can clearly see that the ball is out. The bottom line here is that we can't allow somebody to get stuck with a bad decision if we have information. We've got to come in and at least pose questions. Even if you don't have definitive information, but you have questions, you should come in and express them. Okay? Crew communication and working together as a group. Very, very important. All right. I'm going to stop my share now. As you know, part of what we're doing this year is that we are bringing folks in to make short presentations. And tonight, Michael Henry is going to talk for a few minutes about kick catch interference. Michael is a young official from the Metro Detroit area, works out of that area of the state, is going to be working part-time schedules in both the Great Lakes and the MIAA this year, and is a fine young official that has come through the ranks and is doing very well. And we are leaning on Michael tonight to make this presentation regarding kick catch interference. So Michael, once again, thank you for your time in preparing and also the time to present to our group tonight.
Thank you, Rich. Uh, I'm in the Metro Detroit area, but I must add that I live and born and raised in Flint, Michigan, just north of the Detroit area. Um, as Rich said, I'm gonna do a short presentation on kick catch interference or interference with the opportunity. Let me share my screen. Okay, here we go. Opportunity to catch a kick. Interference with opportunity. Article 1. A, if an inbounds player of the receiving team is located where they could catch a free kick or a scrimmage kick that has crossed the neutral zone, and if the player is attempting to do so, they must be given an unimpeded opportunity to catch the kick. It is an interference foul if, before the receiver touches the ball, a Team A player enters the area defined by the width of the receiver's shoulders and extending 1 yard in front of him. We like to call that a halo. When in question, it is a foul. C, this protection ends when the kick touches the ground. Also, when any player of Team B muffs or touches a scrimmage kick beyond the neutral zone, or when any player of Team B muffs or touches a free kick in the field of play or in the end zone. And there's a few exceptions to the rule. D, if interference with a potential receiver is the result of a player being blocked by an opponent, it is not a foul. E, it is an interference foul if the kicking team contacts the potential receiver before or simultaneous to their first touching of the ball. Well, their first touching the ball. When in question, it is an interference foul. F, during a free kick, a player of the receiving team in position to receive the ball has the same kick catch and fair catch protection whether the ball is kicked directly off the tee or is immediately driven to the ground, as in like onside kicks. Strikes the ground once and goes into the air in the manner of the ball being kicked directly off the tee. And I got a couple of other illustrations I'll share with the group. First, I'll use this Oreo cookie illustration. Read from here. Example 1 on the left-hand side. R1 legally or illegally blocks K1 into R2. There's no contact interference foul on K1 due to him being blocked by R1 into R2. Can everybody see that? I'm reading from here.
Yes.
Okay. Example 2. Example 1, number 2. R1 legally or illegally blocks K1 into the ball in the air or on the ground. K1 is deemed not to have touched the ball. I'll read that again. 2. R1 blocks K1 into the ball, whether the ball is in the air or on the ground. K1 is deemed not to have touched the ball. So it wouldn't be a foul for illegal touching. Example 1-3, R1 legally or illegally blocks K1 into R2 and the ball touched R2 or R1. It's a live ball. K can recover but not advance the ball. Moving over to the right, example 2. K1 legally or illegally blocks R1 into R2. No foul. So if K1 blocks R1 into R2, there's no foul due to him being blocked into the receiver or returner. Example 2, number 2. K1 legally or illegally blocks R1 into the ball while it's in the air or on the ground. R1 is deemed not to have touched the ball. 3. K1 legally or illegally blocks R1 into R2 and the ball touches R2. It's a live ball. 4. K1 legally or illegally blocks R1 into R2 and the ball touches K1, it's illegal touching. Let me read this right here for you. Few things to cover. First of all, in the pregame, we should be, during warmups, we should be looking at the punts by the punter, seeing how good his leg is and how good his foot is, so we can have a gauge of how well he kicks. We should also take notes of what his number is so we know when he's on the field, if he's back there lined up to punt the ball, we should be prepared. Uh, we should line up 7 to 8 yards behind the returner. Our initial responsibility will be the gunner to our side. We should be lined up in the back of the white, and we have that gunner on our side all the way down during the kick. We should have our feet in submit, not moving. We should be watching him, watching our gunner, make sure he's free of foul, and making sure that the blocker of Team B is free of foul. Uh, A, kick catch interference coverage. Know if your person ran into the returner on your own, or wait a minute. Know if your person ran into the returner on his own, or if he's pushed into the returner. Be ready to communicate with your back judge. 2, watch for legal pushes from the front or the side of the defender. It's not a foul. 2B, an illegal block in the back into the returner. No foul for KCI, but we could have a foul for illegal block in the back. 3, illegal block in the back that leads to a tackle with no delay, should be no foul. Also, illegal block in the back that leads to a tackle with a delay could be a foul. D, a gunner that runs into a returner or a receiver of Team B on their own is a foul for KCI. Keep in mind, if the contact puts the defender in the halo, which is the 1 yard belt I talked about earlier, which is the width of his shoulders and 1 yard in front of him at the time of the catch, and there's no muff, it's a foul. If the contact puts the defender in the halo before the catch and there is a muff, we should have a foul. If the contact puts the defender in the halo before the catch and the catch is clean with no disturbance, it's a possibility we could not have a foul. We should always know the status of the ball. We should note if the receiver is forced out of bounds, because it does not require much force to push a player out of bounds going full speed into a returner. Or should I rephrase that? It does not require much force to push a player going full speed into a returner. So they could be running side by side, they could be hand fighting or whatnot, but a little shoulder nudge or whatnot could push that defender into our returner. We have to have our feet in concrete and be focused and watch that action. Uh, Here's another illustration. The punt or the kick is coming from the bottom, from this area right here, this direction. It's coming this way. So here's our returner right here. I'll write an R. I'll be reading from left to right. If a receiver avoids contact and continues to catch the ball, we should have a foul. As on the left, where you can see the receiver, he ran around X being team A, coming down to cover, and the receiver is running towards the ball in a straight line to make the catch. Then he avoids the defender to make that catch. We should have a foul. By rule, he should have an unobstructed path to the catch to make an attempt to make a catch of a kick. The receiver has a direct path. The second one from the left, the receiver has a direct path, but a player is very close without contact along his route to the ball, but receiver still makes a catch. It's no foul. You can see the receiver ran in a straight line. They're close. He's moving in motion. He runs and makes a catch. Right here. Third one from the left. The receiver contacts a player on the way to the ball. It's a spot foul. He's running from here. And he makes contact right here with the defender, right here. He's trying to go make a catch down here. We should have a foul for kick catch interference. Fourth one from the left. The receiver stops his route, avoids contact, but does not continue. He gives up right here. No foul. He didn't attempt to make a catch. He stopped. Bottom right. The receiver is in position to make a catch. A player within 1 yard of the receiver, as defined by his shoulders without contact, is a foul for KCI. As you can see right here. He's within that 1 yard belt, and he's within the width of his shoulders. It's a foul for KCI. I have a few plays I want to show. Let's see. I'll start with this one right here. Just want to huddle. On this play right here, I'll let it run and then I'll read through it. Yeah, legal snap, we have a kick, catch. Back judge comes up, shuts the play down. Here's another angle. Deeps are in position. Here's our kick. We have a valid fair catch signal. Gunners ran down. They were out. If you look, they were outside the width of his shoulders. Here's another view. Fair catch signal. Gunner stop outside the width of his shoulders, not within 1 yard. Okay. Back to that play. So on that play, we had no foul for KCI. We had a good valid fair catch signal by the Team B player. Team A gunner recognized the fair catch signal. And stays outside the shoulder frame and outside the 1 yard belt of the player. We'll go to this view. I'll slow it down. Watch our gunner. We got our gunner on the right side right here. And on the left side, we'll watch those. Everyone's free of foul. Fair catch signal. See this gunner right here on the right-hand side in white. He took a peek at the ball. He saw the fair catch signal. He's watching the ball. No foul for KCI. Back judge shuts the play down. If you look at this picture right here, ask yourself if you're in position looking at this returner, what do we have here? We have a return player in green, number 23, making a legal block on a gunner. Is that gunner within that 1 yard belt? Number 21, the receiver who's preparing to make this catch, if he takes a couple steps to the left to catch this ball and 23 blocks gold helmet into him, will we have a foul? No. If you remember the Oreo cookie illustration, if a team A player blocks a team B player into the returner, we should not have a foul for KCI. So we have to be focused. We have to watch that 1 yard belt in front, and we have to watch our gunners. And we have to know whether or not our gunners made contact with that returner on his own, or was he pushed, blocked into our receiver or not.
Michael, let me jump in on that for just a moment.
Go
This,
ahead.
I totally agree with your analysis on this. When you have contact by the teammate of the kick returner, KCI is highly unlikely. The only time that you're going to have KCI would be if there was an absolute overt action on the part of the team A player. Okay. Like for
Yes,
instance, the player in the the gold helmet, white shirt, say he reaches out and makes contact with the kick returner um, while the ball is still in the air. Something that acute would be required for this to be dialed up as KCI.
I agree. With that being said, I have another play I think will generate more conversation. Let's get out of here. Let's go to this play right here. Here we go. This is a good play after what you just said, Rich. We have a snap and we have a kick. Let's watch our gunners. We got two guys coming down. One player is in chase mode at the bottom. We really got to watch him. He's in chase mode. I'll play at full speed first. We had a flag come in from the deep wing at the top. He's in good position. He kept his cushion and he shut the play down. I'll play it one more time from that angle, full speed, before I switch the angle and go slow motion. I'll even try to zoom it in for you right at the point of when he get ready to catch it. Watch it closely. Looks like it could have been that overt action you were talking about, Rich, right there. So here we go. Same play, different angle. We're watching our gunners left and right, all the way down, feet in cement. Got a kick.
So,
Let me
Michael,
play that.
what do you have there?
Let me play that for you. I have KCI.
Mhm.
I have a file for kick kicks interference. I'll show you why. Here's the kick. We're watching our gunners all the way down. Everyone's free of foul. Now, if you look closely, there's a fair catch signal, nice and high. Now, this team A player, this team B player is in chase mode. No, I'm sorry. This team A player is in chase mode. This defender, this guy, this gunner blocker in blue is in chase mode. He's behind the gunner in white. It looks as though he pushes him into the returner. But if you look closely, from my view and my point, the the gunner is within the 1 yard belt of that kick returner or that receiver. He's in there right now. The defender, the team B player has his hands on him, but he's already in that one within that 1 yard belt. That's interference. And then he also reaches out after being pushed by the blocker into the kick returner. The ball hits the ground. It doesn't hit anyone. It hits the ground and bounces towards the sideline. You want to see that again, Rich?
No, that's all right. Uh, I believe everyone can see the point that you're making that the kicking team player overtly reached out and made contact with the kick returner,
Right,
which leads into, first of all, thank you for that presentation. That was really good. It caused us to really think about some situations back there, and that's definitely something that we need to do heading into our opening weekend of games, is to, as deep three, think about these situations that can occur downfield. The other thing that is absolutely essential is that the deep three work as a unit in terms of figuring out what the appropriate ruling is in a given situation. Uh,
right,
the back judge's primary responsibility is the ball and the kick returner until he becomes a runner. In other words, the kick is ended, firm control has been obtained, and now we have a running play. Until then, the back judge has to stay with the kick returner. So he may have contact and he may throw the flag. And that's where, as Michael pointed out earlier, the deep wing has to know how that player got to that particular spot,
right.
whether he got there on his own, whether he was pushed into the spot. The back judge may have additional information, such as here, where he can say, well, yeah, but the player reached out and overtly did something. Okay.
Through communication.
Right. You're not going to have very many of those kinds of plays like Michael just had with that last clip. Most of the time, you're going to have a clear cut without any change of momentum. The team A player is going to come down and make contact. Or the other one would be is that with contact, he's put into the kick returner, kind of fish or foul. That one is that one is a little more complicated and would be the exception rather than the rule that we're looking for in terms of adjudicating those plays downfield. So, any questions for Michael? The point that Michael made early on, we have to remember, and as we get into our free kicks as well as scrimmage kicks, I'll try to reinforce this, that the opportunity to catch a kick applies equally between the two kicks, both free and scrimmage. And the team B player has first opportunity and must be afforded the opportunity to field the ball. So, Michael, thank you. Excellent job. Appreciate the time and effort that you put into it. If you'll stop your share,
You're welcome.
and that will lead really well into what we're going to talk about next. The first item here, you should have gotten this in the mailing this week. The important point that I want to make here is on this slide right here. Oh, I went too far. We're going to change a mechanic on punts. You know, we've said to everyone since Lassie was a pup that we want you back judge and the two deep wings to be 7 yards. I talked to Jeremy Valentine about this this spring, and where we're making mistakes is that our deep three, particularly the deep wings, are too close to the kick returner. Because distance is our friend, we're going to move people back to 10 yards behind the kick returner. All three of you should be somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 yards behind the kick returner. The reason for that is to help us stay back and to be able to pick up things such as KCI and how players got to the kick returner. All right. So this is going to help us. And of course, that 10-yard belt now applies until we get to the goal line extended. All right, now this first kick is simply to illustrate our base mechanics. Here's our flyer that Michael was talking about, the flyer from the other side. We're coming downfield. The ball is fielded. You can see that our back judge is at least 10 yards deep, right in the middle of the field. We're not in a hurry to drop the beanbag. We'll get the bag down. Very rarely do we need to refer to the bag, but we do need to have the back judge drop the bag for us. All right, you can see our deep wing has good depth here. Our deep wing is going to be looking right here. This is the first threat that with this return coming this way, this is going to be the operative block that is going to make the difference for us in terms of whether this play goes or not. Now, he has to cut back due to the pursuit. He makes the sideline, or it appears that he does. That would be the judgment primarily of the deep wing, maybe with some assistance here, but clearly we want our deep wing judging this on the sideline if at all possible. You can see our short wing has progressed downfield in reverse mechanics. He's making his way to the goal line, and this run ends at about the 13-yard line. Now the umpire has moved inside, is working this play inside out. Our short wing has stopped at the goal line. Now, if this play had continued closer to the goal line, would want you to get back here. And by the way, it's a good reminder to keep everyone out of the restricted area. That this is the dotted line that represents the media line, the limit line. So these people are as close as you want them. I would prefer that they be further back, particularly this person at the goal line, so that we can back up to make a decision if necessary at the pylon. So the play ends at the 13. Whose spot is this? Everyone should know this spot is going to belong to our deep wing. Now, our deep wing may have gotten delayed due to players out of bounds or maybe a sideline interference situation, but we are going to require, when all possible, for the deep wing to come down and take this progress spot. Now, the short wing can be in a position to offer a suggestion as far as the yard line. Put it on the 13 if there's doubt, okay? The last choice would be for the short wing to come back and take the spot. Ideally, we want our deep wing to come up and take that. All right. Our Hudsonville, I want Hudsonville for some reason, Byron Center and East Lansing. Now we've got this in here. We're going to look at this from an end zone view. This is a crew mechanic situation. You can see that our short wing progressed too far downfield, probably a result of being a 5-person short wing on a crew that he progressed too far downfield. Right? You can see our deep wing is coming up, is taking the dead ball spot. Now let's go to the end zone view. Now we're pretty short here in terms of where we are. We want everyone to be 10 yards deep now. Back judge is able to get out of the way. And now you can see that we had the point of attack comes towards the right of the screen. Now, this kick could have gone to the left of the screen, but it did not. As you can see, we've got our deep wing now having to move back because he didn't start deep enough. But this return is going to go to the right. All right, so the first decision that we have here, and the back judge is not yet in position to assist with this because it is still a kick. The status of this ball is still a kick. The kick returner has not yet obtained possession of the ball. All right. So we're absolving the back judge from making decisions on a potential IBB here. Same thing over here, because his responsibility is to know, is this ball touched by the kick returner? Because if it is, we know that then either team is eligible to recover and own possession of the ball. Otherwise, it's just simply going to be a down kick. All right, so that looks okay. All right, so from a deep wing perspective, once you clear this block right here, so we've got deep wing over here on the right side of the screen. Once you clear that block, now you need to look back up here. We don't need to look at the runner. We're going to keep the runner in our peripheral vision, but there's no one there threatening him. So we need to check down to the next engagement, the next active engagement, which is this block right here. All right. So we've got our deep wing looking at this block, and we also have our short wing looking at this from behind. Okay. Really nothing there, kind of a screen. And the kick returner cuts it inside because he can see that looks like a side block. Sees it coming, certainly not vicious enough that we'd make it a blindside block. You can see him even looking back at the guy. All right, so neither one of those would be quality fouls. So now the kick returner is going to take it back outside. All right, now once again, we've cleared these two blocks. So now the deep wing needs to look at the next threat inside. Now, if you're a short wing on this call, look at where you are right now. You're at the 30-yard line, and this kick returner is already at the 45. So you're already in trouble. You've progressed too far downfield, and now you back up, and now you go, whoops, well, I guess I better get some depth. But we just need to make sure that distance is your friend all over the field, not just with the deep three. So you don't need to go too far downfield. We're looking for angles, not proximity. All right, so the kick returner stays in bounds, which is still the responsibility of the deep wing. And now this play is going to get up on the short wing. Now, this probably is not a face mask penalty. I can't really tell for sure. It probably is a helmet opening foul. So when we report this foul to the referee, don't fall into the trap of making everything a face mask. If it wasn't a face mask, don't try to make it up. Report that it's a helmet opening foul, and then that's what the referee should announce. Personal foul, helmet opening foul on number such and such of the kicking team, spot foul from the end of the run, first down. Now, we've got our deep wing coming down to take this spot. We've got our back judge who, I like distance, don't get me wrong, but we really have not engaged here. All right. We've held our water back here too far. I'd like to see him move up to probably about the 50 and start looking for these opposite jersey color people to observe and to clear before we move on. All right, now, gunners. We've talked about gunners. Up here, this is going to be the responsibility primarily of the deep wing at the top of the screen. Same thing here. Now, it appears that this team A player gets head and shoulders beyond the team B player and that he's pushed from behind. All right. Now, if you get feet entangled, that's one thing, but that appears to be, I'm going to take this guy down. Now, if you rule this as feet getting tangled up, okay, I'm good with that. Now, what we want to watch for is the coach at the bottom of the screen. He sees that as a foul, and here he comes sprinting down the sideline. Now, if this is anyone other than the head coach, this is probably a foul for UNS. All right. And certainly, regardless of whether this is the head coach or an assistant coach, if there's vulgarity or anything disparaging towards the official, then once again, a UNS would be warranted. This is the type of thing that we've got to get out of the game. All right. Now, fortunately, this player is tackled. Doesn't appear that he gained any additional yardage on the basis of what may or may not have been a foul because he's just in the process of fielding the ball here and he's taken down just about at the spot of the recovery. All right. But at the very least, this is a talk to. If this is the head coach at the end of this play, somebody's got to go to this guy and say, you're certainly entitled to your opinion. You can bring that opinion, but you've got to be more discreet than what you just did. All right. All right. We're not going to get to free kicks tonight. We're going to save that for next week. Um, all right. Here we've got pretty good position here by our back judge. He's a good just about 10 yards from where the kick returner is. This by last year's mechanics would be correct. I'd like to see him back a few more yards based on what we're doing for 25, but we're in pretty good shape here. Now, again, we want this deep wing to be looking at this engagement right here. Now, we can't really see, this probably is the first threat coming down the field. So this is where the deep wing um, at this juncture should be looking. This is a potential KCI. Or excuse me, this is a potential block in the back. Now the back judge is not going to clear this. I'll tell you when the back judge can begin clearing and now pick up the return. All right, and I went too far. What we're looking for is this kick returner to gain firm control. All right, there clearly he's put the ball away. So at this point, if he gets hit, we should have a beanbag down, probably a second beanbag, because the first beanbag would be for the end of the kick. The second beanbag would be for a fumble. All right. Now, once you've determined that you have a running play, now back judge can assist with point of attack. So the transition for the back judge would be from here into the kick to now point of attack. All right. Nothing serious there. All right, now we've cleared that block. All right. So now back judge should be looking ahead. Certainly our deep wing should be sizing these guys up over here in terms of what they're going to do with these two players. This should be a blindside block alert. You see, well, okay, I'm throwing my hands up. I'm definitely not going to block this guy in the back. I'm just going to kind of screen him. All right. Well, clearly there's not force here, and we're not going to dial that up as a blindside block. All right. Once again, we've cleared those players. So now we're looking at next threat. Back judge is working this play from behind. Now, the deep wing at this side of the field can't give up on this because we know that plays can come back the other way, and then it changes all of the blocking angle. So now you're looking behind the play. you're still actively engaged in this play. Now, in this particular case, he takes it down the sideline and has tackled it about the 40. Now you can just see the short wing over here on the left. So short wing has had a good cushion and it now is officiating this dead ball action from this side. Our umpire is officiating dead ball action from the inside. We've got our deep wing coming down for the spot. Should be blowing the whistle and stopping the clock on his way down there. Back judge is looking all at these players who are in pursuit coming towards the dead ball spot. All right, now we start out in pretty good position here as a deep wing. The problem is that we don't adjust to what happens to the ball. All right. So you can see we're moving forward at this point, and the ball is coming down well short of the kick returner. So we're heading in the wrong direction moving up. If anything, we should be giving ground, if not holding our water at the original spot. As you can see, this ball continues to carry them, and now we're ahead of the ball over here as a short wing. Now that's problematic for a couple of reasons. First of all, we need to be ahead of it so that we can see what's happening with the ball. But the other point of it is you can see we've turned our back and now we're not able to help with any of this action here. Now our back judge has moved towards the hash mark. We want you to stay in the center of the field. Distance is your friend. Open up so that you can see the football, but you're secondary on the football. We're more interested in looking at these players that are in pursuit because ideally we're going to have the deep wing behind this kick so that he is going to take responsibility for this kick that goes out of bounds or is stopped. This one goes out of bounds, but you can see we come back. We have to come beyond. We were beyond the ball rather than in front of the ball. All right, now rolling kick. And again, our back judge has adjusted to the fact that this is a bouncing rolling kick, but we don't have an adjustment here on the part of the short wing. Now, as this continues on and the short wing here. Now, what we're doing is we're looking at this play straight down the line. We really don't get a perspective in terms of who this ball might hit a foot, a thigh board, someone being pushed into the ball. We've got to be ahead of the play so that we're looking into this area here rather than through the backs of the players. You got a lot of traffic in there. You know, that ball can flop left instead of right and all of a sudden touch a member of the receiving team. And now we've got a change of possession or a double change, or team A retains possession of the ball. Maybe that's the way to say it best. But you can see that our deep wings are now scrambling to get back to where the ball is actually dead. We have to stay ahead of plays. All right, I want to jump ahead to a couple of goal line plays here, and then we're going to call it a night. All right, as you know, the goal line is an important consideration for us. We've got to protect that line. Notice where the snap was coming from here. The snap is from the 40, 6 yard line. So the goal line is definitely in play. Now, we may have a strong wind that would affect the fact that the ball is unlikely to be going as far as the goal line, but we don't know that. But again, when in doubt, we're going to start at the goal line. So here I would recommend that the back judge and both of the deep wings would line up at the goal line extended, and that we would officiate the play from this perspective and then move up as necessary. Also, in your scouting, you shouldn't show up at the game and on the first punt go, oh, that's a left-footed punter. If we're out there, first of all, if we're scouting during the week, we should know that the punter for East Lansing is left-footed. During the pregame, we should know the wind direction to know what this left-footed punt might or might not do, so that we're not surprised when it actually happens. All right, now we start out in really good position. We've got our deep wing, goal line extended. So he's got everything right in front of him. Should be able to see these players here as well as have an idea. We're not going to watch the ball in the flight, but we're going to watch the ball off of the kicker's foot so that we have a general idea in terms of direction. This kicker takes a couple of steps to his left, so it's highly unlikely this ball is going to end up at the bottom of the screen. Most likely it's going to end up at the top of the screen. Now we've got an idea on the depth. We know the direction, so we don't need to follow the ball in flight. The ball hits at about the 12, but you can see we're moving up. Why are we moving up? We move up to about the 3 yard line, and all of a sudden we go, whoops, that ball is now threatening the goal line. So we have to go back to the goal line. All right. Now, in the NFL, if this player has a foot, his heel touching the goal line, we know that's a touchback. By high school and college rules, it's the spot of the ball. And the fact that the kicker may or may not be on the goal line or in the end zone doesn't mean anything to us. But the point is, you stay on the goal line until it's clear that the goal line isn't going to be threatened or the ball is now dead. All right, similar situation. This time we've got a kick returner that's going to field this ball between somewhere around the 6 or 7 yard line. That's unusual. And I would say that we would want our deep wing to be a little further extended off of the white, maybe even back to the limit line, because if this thing gets muffed or he chooses not to field it, our pylon may still be in play. All right. We've got a clean catch. Now, I like the fact that the deep wing holds his ground and is now working this block here. And our deep wing at the bottom of the screen should see this as a potential IBB. Now, as previously mentioned, sometimes kick returners reverse their field. And originally, this block that we had disregarded is no longer being pertinent, now becomes an active engagement again. So we have to protect our side of the field and make decisions here. This is a potential blindside block, potential block in the back. In this particular case, the runner cuts up inside again. Now, can that still be a foul? Sure. Probably not going to be, because if there's contact, he's probably putting him right into the kick returner. And now our deep wing comes up and is going to square off progress. This is what we want. Now, our short wing is coming downfield. We don't want you to come that far downfield. Here's the man that's responsible for the forward progress. We want this person to handle the dead ball area in here to ensure that we have a clean break between opponents. Let this deep wing come up, spot the ball once things cool down. All right, short wing, come down and now assume responsibility for the succeeding spot. End zone view. Okay, we're working right here. We're working this. Back judge, you're still working the end of the kick. Gets pretty close to the sideline, so I'd like to see you work a little wider. Short wing, this is your bogey right here. That second wave of players coming downfield. Umpire, you can see him looking back to his right. Players clear him, right? Here's the block we previously talked about that had a couple of phases to it. Right now, there's the potential action. Now, 10 knows he's there. He reaches out for him. Yeah. Now, did he get pushed from the back? Probably. But that's not a foul we want called because, as you can see, we end up with a tackle being made essentially at the same spot where the foul would be. So that's one that we don't want. Now you can see the umpire working inside out. Our back judge should be working from the backside here. Our deep wing is watching this as he's coming up the sideline to square it. But our short wing needs to be looking right in here. And as you can see, our short wing is going to over penetrate coming down the field. Well, I don't know whether we're going to pick him up or not, but the previous view showed him coming too far downfield too quickly. All right, snap inside the 40. Right, you're inside, so you don't have wind, you don't have any of those factors to deal with. Clearly, the goal line is in play here. So we're thinking about the fact that we might have a kick that's airborne that might challenge the pylon. If the kick is airborne, you're going to stay at goal line extended, in fact, a 45-degree angle to determine whether this kick goes out of bounds in the field of play or whether it goes out of bounds in the end zone or the sideline, right? Now, in this case, it's pretty much right down the middle of the field. You can see our back judge has the goal line straddled. This kick is coming down in this area. Team A is going to try to down this kick, keep it out of the end zone. Now, go back a click or two. You can see, again, that our deep wing is moving off the goal line prematurely. We want you to stay on that goal line. In fact, goal line extended. We move off of it. Not sure. I guess we're thinking that he's going to down the ball. We get up there to where we think he's going to down the ball. Stay back here, keep the goal line right there. And then once you have a dead ball, okay, then come up and square it off. And now this kick is going to go more towards the sideline. You can see we've got our deep wing in good position over here. This kick hits first inside the 15. Now we know that a ball can shoot. In this particular case, it pretty much went straight up in the air, and clearly the goal line is no longer threatened. So our deep wing is starting to move upfield. But again, we don't need to be in a hurry to do that. And he takes his time, waits for it to become dead. And now we're going to come up and we're going to square that off. Every kick, every scrimmage kick is going to end on a yard line with one exception. If we're going in this direction and the returner gets the ball, let's say to the 1.5 or maybe even the half yard line, we're going to reward that. That would be an exception to starting a series on a yard line. There are very, very few of those that are going to occur. Most of the time, we're going to start a series on one of those yard lines. All right, we're going to stop right there for tonight. Um, we got some really important information, particularly on kick catch interference. We will include those two charts that Michael used in his presentation for your reference and for your study. Share with your crews, talk about them, maybe even look for some video that will support what you saw um, or what is in contained within those two documents. We will pick up free kicks next time. I would much prefer that we do a comprehensive job in whatever we talk about rather than hurrying through things. Um, we spend about 10% of our time, 10 to 11% of our time on free and scrimmage kicks, but about 80% of our problems come out of those 10 to 11% of the plays during a game. So we have to be good at everything, but we certainly have to be good in terms of our mechanics and our understanding of what we're trying to get done in both phases of those games. All right, so next time we will pick up the free kicks, as well as I want to get into just a little bit in terms of foul selection. So those aren't, I had originally planned to get through kicks in its entirety tonight, but again, we don't want to hurry through those and make our full session next time on foul selection, but we'll split it up so that we will do justice to both next time. Um, Please continue to work hard. Stay in the rule book. We have scrimmages coming up. Now, most of the scrimmages, you're going to have one crew that are covering probably four teams. They'll use both sides of the field in most cases. So we're not probably going to get a lot of work in true seven-person mechanics. What I would ask you to do, if you're a deep wing, um, and you've been called to move up to the short wing because of the fact that you've divided. At some point during the scrimmage, even if it's on the opposite side of the field, just tell your short wing on the other side of the field that you're going deep so that you can get some reps from the deep perspective. And work on your footwork, your reaction, your read and react as plays are happening downfield. Same thing with back judges. Don't get trapped into the fact that you worked a scrimmage or two, but you got no reps at back judge. Make sure that you get some of those. Yes, we're there for the teams, but we're also there to prepare for our season. So make sure, same thing with umpires, and maybe we're even thinking that the referee would go to the line of scrimmage. I would, I would respectfully suggest to you to make sure that you get some reps at your natural position. So as you head into that first game, that you've seen some plays from the perspective of where you're going to be. All right. We went over again tonight, but maybe we can shorten the recording down a little bit. But thank you for tuning in, and let's continue to work hard and get ready so that we're ready to hit the ground with both feet running when we get to those first games. Once again, thank you to Michael Henry for his presentation. And when we get the copy of the program tonight, will also include those handouts that Michael referred to. So be safe out there. Take care. Let's be hydrating well ahead of those first games. It appears that August is going to be warm right through the end of the month. Let's make sure we're taking care of nutrition, including getting the hydration and the electrolytes into our bodies so that we can avoid cramping that first week. All right. So next week, 7 o'clock, hopefully from the home base. Hopefully we get our internet back and we can rely on it. So have a great evening and thanks again for joining us. Good night.